Welcome back to Riding with Gravity. I was thinking recently about the basic rider course because I took the class about a year ago, and my first year of riding obviously got a lot more practical experience, and it made me think about the basic rider course and some of the things that I wish that they did for new riders in the program. Now, this is, it's a basic rider course, so take it for what it's worth. It's about learning the basics of riding, but I wish that there was like an optional paid for day 3, which was about the practicality of ownership, and went beyond riding. So here's what I mean. And for all of you who are basic rider course instructions or teach motorcycle classes, I just want to say thank you. Thank you. My experience was fantastic. I had a very supportive class. I had very supportive instructors in my class. It was a wonderful experience, and it's what got me on my motorcycle doing what I love, which is riding around. And so I just want to say thank you first and foremost to all of you instructors. We really rely on you to learn well, to learn with the right attitude. So thank you. So don't take these suggestions and think I'm just complaining. There's a lot of great stuff that I'm so grateful for in the basic rider course. And like I said, it's a basic rider course. So what I'm going to talk about, I don't know that they would ever really decide to teach. But so here's an example, right? Because we're mostly learning low-speed maneuvers, a lot of our turning is counterbalancing. Moving the steering wheel as far to the left and getting your weight over to the right and looking where you want to go and making these low-speed turns. We didn't get a ton of time to really practice turns at speed. And so it would have been nice, I think, just to kind of talk about the difference between those counterbalancing moments and what it's like to, do a counter steer and get some lean on the bike. As people will say on Reddit, counter steering is a very touchy subject. We're always using counter steering essentially when we're turning at speed. It's just a physics thing, but the technique of how to initiate it is something that I think is worth noting, and that technique is pushing the handlebar forward. Push the handlebar forward, and I get that lean on my motorcycle. So let's just call it leaning techniques. You can lean using your body. You can lean by kind of standing up on your pegs and pushing the motorcycle down, kind of maybe more dirt bike style. And lots of different ways that you can do that. One of them is to initiate that change in direction and that lean on the motorcycle by pushing the handlebar forward. So let's just call it a leaning technique. If you want to lean quickly, then all you have to do is push that handlebar forward. You're not pushing it down, you're pushing it forward, and then it causes the bike to lean, so you will eventually go down, right? But you're really pushing it forward to do that and to do it quickly with the least amount of energy. Would have been fun to talk a little bit about some of those turning techniques. But again, it's a basic rider course, so I'm sure they talk about all that in the other courses. So I'll look forward to taking more instructional courses so I can level up my skills. I definitely want to take more classes. I think it would have been cool if we spent a little bit more time just moving the motorcycle around when it's not turned on. Just the basics of moving the motorcycle, where to hold it, how to roll it, how to stabilize it if it's a bigger bike. Just that, right? I'm not always sitting on the bike and riding it. I'm also not on the motorcycle and maybe pushing it around to get it in a position or getting in and out of a parking space. So it would have been, I think, maybe a good idea just to do like, hey, let's just go from here to there with the motorcycle turned off, and we'll talk about what that's all about. So that would have been, I think, a cool exercise. I think it would have been fun to do a simulation, like an exercise of getting gas, just setting up cones and have like a set of cones that is the fuel pump, a cone that is a person and maybe put a little flag on it, a cone that is some other cars, and basically just line up these gas pumps and say, okay, for this one, here's what we're going to do. You're going to follow this line, and then you're going to do a low-speed maneuver, just stay in this area, and you're going to pull up, stop on the motorcycle, turn it off, and then we'll show you how to gas up. Then you're going to finish your pretend fueling of the motorcycle, hop on and ride off and go back to the line, right? I think that would have been fun because, I mean, it's one of the first things that you do. I was looking at my riding log. I got my motorcycle on a Saturday, and 1 week later I needed gas. I was ready for it, so I went out early and I got gas. It wasn't a big deal, but I did have a lot of anxiety over it because you know, it's one of the first things you have to do where you're committed to being around cars, people, flammable gas, and a little bit of chaos because, you know, people don't always behave in a predictable way in parking lots and gas stations, right? So it's just one of those things that I think would have been fun to just do a little bit of practicing with. Now the basic rider course covers all of the skills that you need to do that successfully. It just would have been a nice practical example of, okay, now we're going to put your skills to the test in a real practical way. I think that would have been kind of cool. I think there was a lot of good advice, but, like, you know, I can't say enough about earplugs. And so there's just some, like, I think it would have been fun to go through just like some of the gear a little bit and people's recommendations, stuff like that. Because if you're a new rider, there's a lot that you just don't know. And so, you know, you're hunting for what's the best gear, what are the essential gear to have, all that kind of stuff. I think that would have been a nice optional, maybe a new rider optional hour to kick things off. And, you know, charge for these things, right? Monetize it if you need to, but I would gladly pay for a new rider module that's attached to the basic rider course. I think it would have been cool also, again, it's a rider course, but if we did like a, hey, there's an optional like practical ownership module for new riders, then we could actually maybe put some spools on a motorcycle, get it up on a bike stand, and, you know, not necessarily clean the chain. If they wanted to, we could clean the chains. I mean, these motorcycles at the basic rider course need to be maintained just like any motorcycle. So maybe just have the class get these practice bikes up on a bike stand and clean the chain. Why not? You're gonna have to clean the chains anyway. Why not just let the class do it? And then for people who've never done that, now they've got the experience. Because if you're gonna have the mechanic do all the work, because you don't want to do the maintenance yourself, you still really need to be cleaning that bike chain, right? So I think just, again, that would have been really fun. I would have enjoyed it. I think anybody who's new to riding would have enjoyed it too. Like, hey, let's just get these bikes up on a stand and clean the bike chain. That kind of practical knowledge, right? And so it's a basic rider course. It fulfills its purpose. It teaches you everything you know to have the basics of how to ride and ride safely. So I'm very grateful for it. There's just some practical application, like I said, that I think I would gladly have done an extra half day or whatever to go over some of those things, so that not only can I feel comfortable riding, but I can feel comfortable owning and maintaining, at least at the base level, a motorcycle.